Hey friends, welcome to Andy's Audio Crap, where we talk about some audio gear. Today's gear happens to be a BIC turntable, BIC, which stands for British Industries Company, made in the USA. So we'll talk a little bit about the history of BIC. This turntable in particular, we're going to go through its features and whether or not it's a good turntable for you. BIC, or British Industries Corporation, was an American company that made its name back in the 1970s with a line of well-engineered affordable turntables. And they focused primarily on audio gear. They're not the lighter company or the pen company. And some of the models that kind of put them on the map were the 980 and the 960 and the 1000. You'll see a lot of them around. They were made in the US, which was the big selling point at the time. They offered features like the automatic return, the record stacking, and they just in general appealed to the casual listener. They have a belt drive system with a unique inertia platter, and you'll see this platter later, that helped regulate the speed. The engineering was pretty impressive, but in the late 70s, early 80s, they really struggled with quality control. Eventually, they just could not compete with Japan and Germany, or let's just say Europe in general, Japan and Europe in general, and they kind of just fell short. They did have a pretty loyal following for a while, and still to this day, you'll have folks talk about their fond memories of BIC during the 70s. This one actually had all of its material with it, which was cool. Everything but the box, and everything on here is just in absolute wonderful condition. There's a couple of Mars on here, but the whole thing was just beautifully clean. I had to dust a little bit and lube a little bit, but it was operational almost immediately. It is a belt drive turntable. It is the model 980. Here's a Bernstein Appleby catalog down the street from me. I'm in Topeka. This is in Kansas City, Missouri. It's only about an hour and a half away. And they had, I'm opening this up because there's actually listings for them in here. So, you know, $170 for the model 960, which is also, this manual's for the 960. And then your 980, which is here. And then 980, which is, I'm sorry, what I have, this is a 981. And the difference between them is this, the platter, and then there's a light where I have here for the stroboscope. So my stroboscope is underneath. You can see it here. Let's see here, let's just read part of this. The BIC turntable is the ultimate turntable for the sophisticated system, combining high levels of playback performance with the option of manual and automatic record handling, depending on the occasion and your desires. All right, advertising is always fun to read from back in the day, right? Words have kind of changed usage a little bit. I'm going to go through these BIC catalogs on another video. Not BIC catalog, I'm sorry, the Bernstein Appleby's catalogs. Let's talk about the performance. Time to test the rotation. All right, this turntable has this platter mat on here that really is, it's not very rubberish, and just definitely does not have anything to grab to cause some, you know, keep the phone in place type of thing. Plastic, we're gonna move that to the side. It's not gonna help us test. This is completely loosey-goosey, so it's not gonna help us test either. I put a piece of cardboard in here to level it. It's very important that it is level during our testing. We also don't want the phone touching anything in here. We also want to make sure that the motor is warm. Now this one has been running for a while, so before you test, make sure that everything is up to temperature, operating temperature that is. It's like taking a car out. If you take it out while it's cold and try and run a 0 to 60 on it, it's gonna be a little bit sluggish. So do that. We're going to counterweight the phone a little bit, and this is a lot of weight to be putting on a platter. This is really pretty good at testing how well the bearings work here. Now, when I've got all this weight on here, the first thing I'm going to do before I start messing with taking any kind of measure is to ensure that the manual pitch control is showing a fairly steady 33 1/3. After adding all of this weight to it, it could slow it down. On this one, it didn't, so that's great. And what we'll do is chase this around until we can hit the start button, and she's off and running. Now, what this is doing is it's assessing the increase and decrease in speed using the devices in the phone that do those type of measurements. Let's see how it goes. Done. Okay, turn it off. Get out of the advertisement here. All right, it is at 33.36 with a, its variance is very low. It's almost perfectly 33 1/3. The wow is setting at 0.18. Minimum RPM, maximum RPM. It's actually pretty decent. Okay, the next test is essentially what I would call the tap test. You could hear it playing, and really what I'm trying to do is determine how much sound comes through the turntable as I just tap around it. I'm going to tap below it. Not very much is coming through. I'm going to tap the bass, the plinth. Mostly what I'm hearing is echoing coming off of here. I'm going to tap the bass. All right, now I'm starting to hear some sound coming out of there. And it's not horrible. It's not overly bad. That wonderful low hum that you hear is this table that the turntable is sitting on. It's vibrating at 50 hertz. And I have an amplifier over here which allows me to increase the intensity of the 50 hertz, the energy that's coming through it. And the idea is that I'm listening for how much of that 50 hertz makes it to this cartridge through all of the vibration mitigation that this turntable has. And let's listen to this. This is it's at about 40%, okay? So I'm going to lower it all the way down to maybe 10%, maybe a little bit lower. Now we're going to lower this, and it's going to be really loud because we want to be able to hear it, so I won't be able to talk. I'm picking it up at roughly 10%. So this doesn't have very good vibration resistance. You're not going to be able to put it on top of a speaker. You're going to want it on a cabinet that's fairly separated from the speaker, and the cabinet to have a little bit of cushion too. What you could also do is add fluff and puff under here and potentially changing the platter mat. That platter mat is pretty hard, so it's passing a lot of that vibration up and through the record. Let's run through the catalog here real quick and talk about some of the features. Over here on the left-hand side is your pitch control, and it is a manual pitch control, which some people prefer, and I understand why. I'm a quartz, no pitch control type of person myself. Get a good belt, and you're off and running. Not on the quartz, of course. Over here you have the cycle, which runs all the functions on the entire turntable. You have your manual, and you have your 1 through 6 repeat function over here. You can do stacker, and so what you would do is you would lay this here, and if Andy could get it right here, you'd flip that up, lay that there, use this to balance it, and bam, you're playing 2 records. And then when it kicks it over, it just has a little trigger over here, it kicks it down, bam. Pretty cool. I like the stackers. I never use them though. And then your cueing over here is quite interesting because the cueing mechanism is just a little ball that rides on the inside of the gimbal here, and you can actually change the pace of it raising and lowering by moving this dial here, by screwing it in or screwing it out. And it's just basically a spring mechanism that pulls back on the cue mechanism. Pretty cool though. don't see this very often where you can manage the queuing lift rate. When I got this one, all of the lubricant had, or it's a lubricant. Yeah, we'll just call it lubricant. The lubricant was dry in here, so I had to clean it out and put new in. The anti-skate and the stylus force is actually on the gimbal itself. And it's up here. There's these two dials. And essentially what you do is you take this down. So you have the stylus counter or the stylus weight and then the anti-skate. And when I release this over here, it should essentially kind of just be a neutral balance, although it's not. So let's pull it back a little bit here so that I can illustrate this. All right, there we go. Okay, so now it's neutrally balanced. And now when I raise this stylus weight here to, let's say 2, it is at 2. And then I'll move the anti-skate to 2, and now it's at 2. Pretty easy operation, in my opinion. And then you have your stylus type, and you can actually change the stylus type. Now, when I looked into this, it's essentially just pulling back a little bit on the tone arm. It's not really doing anything major that you couldn't do manually yourself, but yeah, it's there. And then the head shell is quite unique on these, and that's kind of good and kind of bad. I have a lot of turntables that have unique head shells right now, and it's really a pain in the butt to buy a new one because they're usually not too cheap when they're more rare. So this one you just unscrew, which this screw is pretty cool and unique, which I imagine costs a lot if you want to buy a replacement. And then you just pull it away. Now, one of the other things too that it has on the head shell itself is a little screw mechanism here that changes the pitch of the head shell itself, which is actually quite a cool, innovative feature. Not a lot of turntables have that, and depending on your cartridge and how you've got it loaded, you might want to actually change the pitch of it. So the other thing that I really like about these is the ability to just set that there, and you don't have to retreat it all the way back into here. On other turntables, that's really handy for setting speed and doing other things, such as doing some maintenance on it. Now, finally, one of the other really cool features of this dude is its bottom. You see here? It's clear. That's pretty cool. I think that's about it. If you have one of these or you know of these and have some history with them, please go ahead and put in the comments if I missed any of the features. Let's talk about if this turntable is for you. Actually, let's look at it for just a second. It looks wonderful. It looks like a precision instrument. The presentation here just cool. You don't see stuff like this anymore, right? You walk into a room and see one of these, they immediately know it's vintage. Nobody makes this stuff anymore. So you got that going for you. But if you're not in the mood for a Garrard, BSR, or a Dual, probably not in the mood for one of these. And why? It's belt driven. It has the caveats that come with belt driven. It's manual pitch control, which, that comes with electronics. Electronics come with capacitors that need replaced, sometimes transistors that need replaced. It has a lot of mechanical features in here. These all need maintained and lubricated. It has a special head shell, which means that you'll have to find a head shell that matches it if you ever break this one. And that's really putting it on the enthusiast's end, in my opinion. So if you are a vintage enthusiast that is able to hire somebody to do all the work, or you can do it yourself, it's definitely for you. If you're new to the hobby, this dude probably isn't for you. I probably would veer away from it. And the reason is that learning on this particular type of turntable is not easy. There is a lot of material out there, a lot of blogs, a lot of YouTube videos on how to fix things, how to work on it, but it still doesn't make it easy to work on. So that's what I think about this dude. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.